cuties, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Julie.
And together we're the mother-daughter duo of Stitches of Love. Now, Mom, what are you going to teach us today?
Well, we're going to talk about pressing.
And how to press to get the best pieces?
Yeah, so that your quilt turns out right.
Well, we all want that. I can't wait to see what you're going to tell us.
It's also important, too, throughout your whole process.
To iron every step of the way.
Well, it's nice. I like to iron every step of the way. I know some people don't. I find that totally hard because if you iron as you go, you're able to know that things are working out like they should.
True. When you're ironing is when you catch a mistake, typically.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless you see it happening and keep going.
You can see that something's like, that's not quite right, I don't think. And then you might read the directions again and see, oh, made a little boo-boo. So, okay, I have just now stitched these two little seams right here. Are we on this camera now?
We sure are.
Okay, so I'm going to set my seam. It just kind of, I don't know, says you better behave. I don't know what this does, but I've always been told to set my seam.
I feel it helps somehow.
I've always done it. Okay, so a lot of times when you're working with patterns, it'll tell you to press to the dark side. So we have a light fabric and a dark. So in pressing to the dark, we're going to fold this way, and I just kind of give it like a little light, quick smush with my finger, and I go, and I don't want to iron and like force it that way. I'm just going to kind of give it a lightly, and then I'm going to put the iron on and let it stay.
So you don't push the fabric.
No, I'm not pushing the fabric around. I'm also not using steam right now. I used to be a real good steamer. I don't anymore because I feel that, well, I know this to be true. Sometimes when you steam, the moisture makes the fabric gets moist, obviously, and the fabric will wiggle wobble and the fibers will go where they want to. We want them to stay nice and perfectly neat.
Almost like the steam would undo the starching?
Kind of. It just makes the fabric more flexible. So this is now pressed this way. And I'll show you on this one, if I don't press nicely, say I just lay it up here like this.
This is what not to do.
This is what not to do. So there. And
look, that looks crooked.
Yeah. Now, we've seen, and when we used to long arm, sometimes we'd have pieces that weren't pressed perfectly all the way around, and you have the little fold here. Totally affects how big your block is.
I was going to say, when I have been quilting every now and then, I'll catch myself that two pieces don't line up, and I realize it's a pressing mistake, not a sewing mistake.
Not a sewing mistake. And you probably won't have sewing mistakes if you check your 1/4 inch ahead of time. So, if that happens,
how do we fix it?
That's what I'm fixing to tell you.
I love it.
Just put this back down, and you want to set it again. Down flat.
Okay. You wouldn't restarch because that could change the size of your fabric.
Right. I typically don't want to do that. So now it's back down flat again. And, ooh, it's awfully hot too.
That iron works.
This iron works.
Do you need this?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
So now I would go this way like this. Another thing you can do, I mean, obviously I think
so
everybody
finger
knows,
pressing helps.
Just lightly finger pressing it that way. But see, it kind of has a memory. It wants to go back to where I made it have that crease. Not so good. But another thing you can do when you're pressing, sometimes you might want to press seams open. If you're going to have something that has a lot of bulk, say a pinwheel, you can press them open.
Yep.
And if I'm doing that, I'll just take it like this and I finger press it just lightly, which you can see I just sort of squeezed it, or I don't know where we are.
You're right there. You're perfect.
Right here. So I just gave it a little squeeze, and then you can actually even run your fingernail, but you don't want to be too heavy-handed because, again, you can distort this fabric, and we want to make sure our fabric behaves. So this time I'm going to press it open, let this be here, and I should have brought the clapper in, because I really find using a clapper is great.
It's a chunk of wood.
I was going to say, are you going to ask me what's a clapper?
I know. Here, I'll go here. What's a clapper, Mom?
A clapper is a nice piece of wood that's basically just a weighted piece of wood that you can lay on your seam.
This is not a clapper.
This is not a clapper, but it's just a nice piece of wood. And it will actually absorb the heat from the piece, and it really does.
I did not know to absorb the heat. That's cool.
Yeah, it'll help your seam to lay flatter.
And as you make your pile of pieces, you can just add it into the same pile with your clapper, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And you can, once you have, like, say we were making a block and we have all these seams together, every time you can just lay it on there. And typically what I'll do, because I mean, you know, guys, when we're quilting, we're making a bunch of something.
Usually.
So, yeah. So press a little, put the clapper down, press some more, move the clapper, move that aside. It's like a little assembly line.
So what is your main tip for pressing? Finger pressing and not pulling the fabric.
Yeah, just be sure that you are pressing, not ironing. If you're ironing, you're pushing. Look, I dented that with this.
Oh, she pressed hard.
I held it down while it was warm. So at any rate, yes, ironing means this.
Hold on, let me go to that camera.
Ironing is doing like this.
Mm-hmm.
Pressing is.
So is that why we say to iron on your applique pieces, we should really say press your applique pieces. We say press your seam to what side, but we always say iron your applique. Really, you're pressing your applique.
Well, again, it sort of depends on the size. I mean, I think it's a term that we use interchangeably, truly.
Oh, okay.
But what it really means, this is ironing, this is pressing. You're pressing your seams.
So basically, don't push and pull the fabric. Don't distort it. Finger press it, put it in position, and then place the iron.
And then it stays the size you want it to be so that you can use it in a nice method.
Nice. Well, I appreciated those tips because I do believe in ironing. I believe in ironing a lot.
Every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I learned to quilt from you, so that's probably why, but I don't know how you don't iron every step of the way.
I don't either. To me, I get a better product if I iron it or press it.
And I like measuring throughout the process as well. Nice.
Yeah, I know sometimes some patterns will tell you this
should
should now measure blah, blah, blah. You know.
Like now you're sewing these two together, it should now measure 2.5 by 8.5 or what have you.
I don't know that when you're doing applique, we don't tell that all the way around.
Typically our finishing patterns do, because you're not piecing until typically.
The end. Yeah.
But I can tell you the pattern I just wrote this week, it does say that. So I think we normally say that.
Sometimes you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So if your pattern tells you what size it should be, check it.
If it doesn't tell you, all you have to do is add up the two sizes of the seam and take out 1/2 inch for the seam because a 1/4 inch. So you can know math-wise what your size will be.
And quilt math is easy math.
Unless it's a 1/4 square triangle, then it's not.
Brittany has a hard time with those.
Yes, I do.
So
then you're on your own.
At any rate, I hope this helped you a little bit. And like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more wonderful tips.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's it for today.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Happy stitching!